Okay, so I believe we are having a couple of guys here who is with the idea, and also Subhan um, about full stack application development. We will discuss here how we can develop the entire full stack application using Next.js here. We don't need separate server, we don't need separate client, and then they will interact with each other via REST API or other techniques. So let's start without wasting any second. Okay, so basically, as we know, the Next.js is the topic, and what we will cover today is basically the framework fundamentals, the Next.js core architecture, and then we will discuss the rendering strategies. We do utilize them for working in Next.js and delivering a better experience. And it includes server-side rendering, static side generation, incremental side rendering. I'll explain it over in the next slides. Um, Component architecture, we are having mainly server and client components. So we will discuss them in detail. And if you guys will have any query about it, we will entertain it at the end, inshallah. And last not the least, how it will act as a full stack applications and what are the feature it does provide us, and we utilize them while developing the application, and how we can develop a full stack application using Next.js. So let's start. Basically, React.js is a React. Next.js is a React framework that is used for building production-ready web applications that is built on top of React.js with additional features. As I told, the server side thing is additional, and client side is already available in the React.js. React 19 is also providing some of the server side things, but prior to it, Next.js has already been released. So this is basically the Next.js feature. And full stack framework, we have front end, back end, as I have told you guys earlier, and zero config setup with best practices. You do not have to configure everything that server side and the client side. You can simply create next app at latest, and you will get the latest the setup for the Next.js application. And also it is production optimized by default, and we will discuss it further in detail. You can I can give you an idea about it. For example, image optimization and the headers metas, they are by default optimized in the Next.js application. So why we do choose Next.js? So one of the top point here is performance, and it automatically optimizes the code. It utilizes code splitting and other mechanism. A couple of them I discussed in my in my last statement. And then the best thing of it, it is SEO friendly. I can explain it here. Server side running for better discoverability. Basically, the entire of the script or the JavaScript code is being executed on the server side. So it is well prepared when it comes to the browser. So this is really easy for SEO crawlers and all that readers and ranking stuff. It get easily when the script are being utilized or executed on the backend side, on the server side, and we just get exactly what we need to see. And then we have developer experience here, fast refresh. If any of you have worked with Next.js production application, then it is really fast. And TypeScript support, it does support TypeScript, and we know the benefits of TypeScript. It reduces the runtime errors by mentioning the error at the development time. So we do describe the interfaces and types, and on the basis of that, we do development which reduces the chances of error or crashes, I would say. And then it also have built-in routing. Um, Unlike React.js, where we use React Auto DOM to to define the routes, that this if this is a route, then this would be the component or element which will get rendered. We do define the routes here, and we will discuss it further in the other slides. But for now, it supports built-in routing. How it is supporting built-in routing, we will know in the next slide, inshallah. And then it's scalable from static sites to dynamic applications. Unlike other frameworks where we just create client-side code, it makes the application fully dynamic by mixing front-end and back-end in the same application. So we are having file-based routing in the Next.js application, where it is you can say we are having app router here. Previously in the Next.js 12 version, we were having pages router as well. We will discuss it further, that why we do use it and what's recommended approach. Either we use page router or the app router. So when we do use the command create next app at latest, we do get this app directory. So we are having as a recommended approach it here. So app router, anything which is having page txs here, this is basically creating a route for it. So we do define routes by just creating the folder in Next.js application. So the key concepts here are folder defined routes. We just create the folder. For example, here we do create the about page, about directory, and then we created page.tsx here. So it will automatically create a route for /about here. So we can write our code here in page.tsx, and it will show up on the browser side. And as I have told, page.xs creates route endpoints, and also we can create slug for dynamic segments. For example, we are having blog detail page or post detail page or product detail page. So we won't be creating, as we have been using slug in the React.js to get the param from the route, and then we get the detail from the server on the basis of that ID or whatever the identifier we do use. And similarly, here in the Next.js, we are using Slug. We do create it as you can see in this picture, that blog. We are having page.tsx here for the blog, and then we are having this Slug. So on when we get the ID in the route path, we get the data on the basis of that ID, and we do render the page. So we can create dynamic routes here as well. So as I have told earlier, it automatically split the code as per the routes. So it can assist in optimizing the application and assist in getting better user experience. So we are having, as I told, we are having app router and pages router, which is legacy, but it's still supported, but not recommended. So we are having app router. Maybe I told, but let me tell it again. We are having server components and client components. Obviously, when we are creating full stack applications, and then one of it will serve as a client, and one of them will serve as a server. So we are having server components by default in app router. So every component here is by default the server components, right? So what it contributes is it improved the performance, and we can also create the nested layouts. Um, I believe some of you guys might have worked with Next.js. We do create a layout which wraps around the entire page or the group of pages, which help us optimize the code and reduce the line of code which we will write again and again for each of the page. So we can create multiple nested routes. For every directory, we can create a layout here in Next.js application. which also helps in data fetching and built-in load states. So we can built-in show the loading state for better user experience. So let's come to the pages router, which is legacy version. So it traditionally support the React approach, and it's very simpler for beginners especially. And plus point, it's still fully supported, and we can simply migrate it to normal React application. So here we have client components and server components. And as I have told earlier, in the app router, every component is server component by default. So for creating client components, we do use this use client at the top of that component in the page.tsx or whatever the file name you use. You will use client at the very top to tell the Next.js bundler or builder that this is the client component. So uh, what are the server components? They are rendered on the server, and they are directly accessed by the backend. So there is no JS manipulation or execution on the client side. So everything is being executed on the backend side. So which helps in obtaining better performance, and it also, as I have told earlier, it improves the SEO score. So it optimizes SEO wise as well. So let's go through the client components. So they are basically interactive UI, as you guys do in React.js. So what do you do? You add the events listener on elements. For example, we are creating a button, and we do add an event listener on click on it, and then we do apply the function, or we do call the function that this will happen after clicking this button. So for interactivity, we still need client components. This can't be done in server components. For client components are used for these purposes. We do create interactive UI and also hooks. I believe many of you might have worked with React.js, where we do use hooks in functional components. So these hooks can't be used in server components. So for that, we need client components here. So use state, use effect, use ref, and many of the hooks you might have heard about React.js. So we can only use them, or even customize custom developed hooks. So we can only use them in client components. And also, as I have told, event handlers, as the interactivity is handled on client side, so client component can handle the events as well. And all of the browser APIs, browser is always available on client side, so we can utilize browser APIs in the client side components, not in the server side components. And also, it updates the user interface for real time. And let's go through the rendering strategies in Next.js. So as I have named, static side generation, static server side rendering, static side generation, and incremental approach. So let's go through one by one. So we are having server side rendering here. When to use. Let's go through the coding approach first. So what we do is we simply create the asynchronous function. We can name it as page. So we do fetch the data, and caching is itself a topic in Next.js, which might not be covered in this session. So we can have a different session for it, or we can explore it later. So, and let's go through the server side rendering stuff for now. So we are getting a post here, and then we are returning it. So there is no user interactivity, no hooks, or no clicking things happening. So we are having limitations for utilizing server side rendering stuff. So we are just getting data from the server. So what will happen here is we are making the request to the server, and it will generate the HTML from the data, which will be fetched from the database and already populated, and will automatically generated HTML will be returned to the client side, to the browser, and it will be rendered there without any delay. So that's why it's quite fast, and we can call it real-time data. And so when we do use static site generation, when the data is changing a lot of time to time. For example, we are visiting some page, we need real-time data there. So we do use server-side rendering technique there. Then we have static site generation. So how let me tell you how it works. So mainly when we create the build of the Next.js application by using npm run build or whatever the script is designed in the package.json file. So it creates after fetching the data, it creates static sites. Automatically will build the static sites for the data which will be fetched from the server. So later on, so that's why we do call it static site generation. So when we do use it for blog posts, we know we are having a number of posts. It will fetch the data. It will create the HTML sites as a static site, and then it will be served on the browser side. For the documentation, we know it won't be changed, and marketing pages and product catalogs. So these all are static sites or static pages which doesn't change time to time. So we use static site generation technique for it. And then we have incremental static regeneration. So how does it work? As we have discussed server-side rendering and static site generation, we generate the pages statically and save them. And in the server-side rendering, the data changes from time to time. So incremental static regeneration is combination of both of them. So as we can see, static performance plus dynamic content. What it does is it generates the static sites and it's served to the Next.js server, and we see them on the browser side. And when it's required on the back end, it or in the background, it regenerates those pages so the data can be real time. So users always get fast response, and automatically it will update the data, and we will get the real-time data which is actually correct. For example, if there is something that is changed and it has shown us the static site, so we won't be with the up-to-date data, so it will regenerate the site, and it will be with the fresh data, and we will get the fresh data. So this is how this is the kind of implementation which is similar to static site generation. So we do fetch the data, we create the pages, and we do increment it by using revalidate here. What does revalidate do? It revalidate the data, and it will recreate the page on the server side, and then it will refetch it. So it will be up to date for us.
A question from SRR.
I guess we can entertain it at the end, I believe. So maybe I'll get to the question in the following slide, so it will be easy for all of us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So we are having a component here, server component and client component. So as I have told you guys earlier, that we do use client approach. We do mention at the top of component that this is client component. And for server component, it is by default every component in the app router is server component. So this is kind of an implementation example. Here we can use state and other hooks, and we do use interactivity stuff like on click, event listeners. So on click it will change the icon here. So for this for server components, we are just fetching the data and we are returning it. No user interactivity, no hooks, and we don't have to mention use client at the top. Okay. So then we have API routes. This is the feature of Next.js which assists us to obtain the full stack application behavior in the Next.js. So what's the folder structure for it? It's already here in the picture. So what we do is we are having API directory. We create the folder for categorization, for example, post or blogs and all that stuff. And we do create route.ts file as we do page.tsx file, right? So in that route.ts file, we will define all that server code, for example, get, post, patch, and all that request interacting with the MongoDB or the database or the Prisma and all that stuff. All that backend stuff will be happening in the route.ts file. So what what's happening there in the code mentioned in the picture is it's getting the data from the MongoDB and it's returning as a response as a JSON. And same here, what we are doing here is get, and this one is post. So we are doing all that CRUD stuff here, and this is how it will serve as a full stack application. It obviously have database access and all the third parties and database things which can happen in a full stack application that can be done in API routes of app router. So we are having server actions as well. This is something different from API routes. We can also create actions without utilizing API route that I described in the previous slide here. That we need to create a directory and route.ts file, which will serve as a API route. We can directly create the server actions, and here we have to mention particularly that this is the server actions. So we do use server string at the top of the file. So the Next.js bundler will find out that this is a server action, and here are the server actions defined. They are not any ordinary server components or methods. So but how does server actions work? They are basically very similar to server functions which we define here. And but how does it work is we do utilize them, and it makes the request to the backend or the DB. And we don't see them as a normal network request, and we can just get the hint that there is some server action going on, but everything is done on the server side. So it is very similar to the API route stuff. And then we are having best practices and architecture in Next.js. So in component organization, we are, as we know, as we have discussed, that server are by default, and we can use client components only when needed. And I believe you are familiar with the prop drilling concept and co-location of related files. So we can co-locate the files in the same directory, but obviously they will create different routes. So it also helps in performance, use spans, and these are all optimizing techniques. For example, the data is being fetched, and on that in that particular time we will show something for better user experience and optimizes images with Next.js. With next image, we do use import image tag from next image, and it optimizes. What it does is it convert every image in WebP format, which is very easy for browser to compile and show us. And implement route stuff, so that is also plus point for a full stack application. And code quality, we can utilize TypeScript, ESLint, and consistent folder structure. So that will also improve the code quality in the Next.js application. And here we have recommended project structure. So as I have told, this is mainly the app name. We are having app router here. We can do group the routes here with any of the word, or we can use routes as well for better experience. And we do use page.tsx and then about page. We are having a API route here, and then the layout, which is wrapping in the entire pages which will be rendered on the browser. We can also define components out of the app router, and so they won't become any route stuff for the application. So they are kept separate by purpose. We can also keep components in the app router, as Next.js 15 or 16 bundle is quite intelligent to distinguish between routes and components now. So we are having lib for utilities and all that different stuff, and obviously public for public things, and we can define types as separate. So this is recommended project structure for Next.js application. And here at the end, we are having some resources. So one of them is official documentation, and I believe Next.js is having one of the well organized and very helpful documentation. So for more details, you can go through the Next.js documentation, which is nextjs.org/docs. And we can also follow the learn route for learning Next.js. And here's one of the example apps. And one of the positive point for Next.js application is Vercel is by default supporting all of the features of Next.js, so it is very easy to deploy Next.js application or Vercel. So at the end, here we will discuss about the questions. So yeah, if anyone is having any question, please step forward.
Sir, my question was from server-side rendering. So you basically said in server-side rendering, the server send the fully rendered HTML page onto the
Mhm.
client side. But what about the JavaScript? Does it still loads on the client?
uh, as I have told earlier, that all of that JavaScript stuff is executed on the backend side, on the server side, and all of that, I would say, fully prepared dish will be given to the browser to show to the user. So everything is being executed on the server side. Yeah, or if there is some client side code which is also needed there. So once it's prepared and sent back to the browser, all of that interactivity stuff will be added at that time. Is it clear?
So basically, JavaScript still loads on the client side, but your HTML get received from the server side.
Okay.
And so one more question was from, is there any particular vulnerability Next.js have? Like what are its potential drawbacks or fallbacks, you can say? Because what I have heard is Next.js is not used for large scale applications. You usually use a separate front end and backend for them. So is it, am I right or not?
Yeah, you are very right actually. So basically, it is not at the moment, it is not well defined for very large applications where Express server can serve a very good purpose. So you're right at this point. So also Next.js is having some of the security vulnerabilities going on in the current era. So that's why people are trying to avoid it. But obviously, it's a really good technology to do design a full stack application with. Make sense, Muhammad?
Yeah, sir, I totally get it. Sir, I got some more questions, but that's not from the lecture. I want to know a little about you. Like, are you a fully fledged software engineer, or maybe you're a front end or back end developer?
I guess we can retain it later. If there is something about the lecture, we can discuss it right now. And I can share you the docs and the LinkedIn so we can discuss personal stuff there. Is it okay?
Yeah, totally get it. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? I believe that's all. And we should wrap this up. And wish you guys very good luck and happy coding. Allah Hafiz.